How's it going, everyone? So I didn't actually have a video planned for this week, so I figured today I'd give you a nice, raw, impromptu, unscripted video, and that comes in the form of presenting to you 5 Christian metal bands that I like, bands that I think you should listen to, but most importantly, Christian metal bands that I truly believe have earned the right to call themselves Christian bands. Because the thing about the Christian metal subgenre is that it's crawling with bands that are not by any means actually Christian bands. That's not to say that they don't make good or clean music or they don't have members who are Christians, but as kind of like the old joke goes, there's a difference between being a Christian band and being Christians in a band. And I think a lot of bands that call themselves Christian bands, heavy metal or otherwise, they don't actually portray the gospel in their music. They don't actually promote biblical truth, biblical hope. They don't refer to Jesus by name or anything. And so I just wanted to share 5 bands that I have noticed just in my time listening to Christian heavy metal music, bands that do claim Jesus' name and they do sing about him, and there's really no ambiguity as far as whether or not they actually have their allegiance in Jesus. Before I start, I should clarify that it's not as if these bands are like the holiest or like the best Christian metal bands, nor is it to say that if a band doesn't make this small list that they are not actually a Christian band or they're not actually gospel centered. It's just to say that these are the 5 bands that came to mind when I thought of like gospel proclaiming Christian heavy metal bands, and so that's kind of where this list is coming from. Again, this is just really off the cuff, so I appreciate you watching, and here you go. So the first Christian heavy metal band that I love to talk about and that you should check out, one that I've talked about before, is Wolves at the Gate. The first song of theirs that I listened to is called Dead Man. It's off one of their first albums, Captors, and to me that's like the archetypal Christian heavy metal song. The chorus goes, "For I was once a dead man, a stranger with no home. I stood opposed to God himself, and yet he pardoned me." The song is just such a simple portrayal of the redemption in Christ, even when we stand opposed to him. One of my favorite songs by them off the album Types and Shadows is called Gravedigger, and it's all about, it's kind of like a concept song about a man who's digging, searching for treasure, pretty much searching for something of value, but he doesn't realize he's just digging his own grave. And then the song kind of has a twist ending, as a lot of their songs do, and it twists from kind of the lowliness of where this man is headed versus the great work that has been accomplished in Jesus, and he finds that. In general, the band really explores what I think a lot of Christian heavy metal emphasizes, and that's the aspect of the human condition that is so lowly and dirty and just shameful that it can't present itself before a holy God. Wolves at the Gate does that a ton, but then they always tie it into the grace of Jesus and the work of Jesus and the hope of having a relationship with him. And so I greatly recommend checking out Wolves at the Gate. They have a new album coming out literally next week, Eulogies. I'm very excited for it. They're also Ohio natives, so I have to like them. The second Christian heavy metal band that I think you should check out that really is a Christian band is a band that I've talked about extensively on this channel, and that's Demon Hunter. I just put out a video a few weeks ago talking about the art that I had in the background of my little set here, and that art is all inspired by Demon Hunter lyrics and themes in their music, and so definitely go check that video out if you want to hear me talk a little bit more in depth about that art, but about Demon Hunter's music in general. They're veterans in the Christian heavy metal scene, and they just have some of the most consistent work, just considering the exploration of their music into the life of a Christ follower. And again, it is a lot of those feelings of lowliness and those feelings of not being good enough in the presence of Jesus. I mean, one of their songs is called I Will Fail You, and that song is, again, it's beautiful, but it's like just a stark reminder that we are fallible people. I'm gonna fail God because I am broken and I am sinful, and that's what emphasizes Jesus's redemptive work, and that's why it's so good and why it's so scandalous for Jesus to have died on the cross for us, because it's something that we will just fail him time and time again, but still he chose to do that for us. I think Demon Hunter, compared to Wolves at the Gate, their proclamation of biblical beliefs and following of Jesus is a little bit more nuanced. It's not as overt. I think of one of their songs off their album Peace. It's called Two Ways, and the chorus, it just says, there are two ways to die, eyes shut or open wide. And so that doesn't explicitly say anything Christian, but if you are looking at it as a Christian, you'd be like, well, yeah, there's two ways to die. There's, you either die knowing and loving and being transformed by Jesus, or you don't. Eyes shut or open wide. Again, you can watch the video I did on the artwork in the background to hear me talk more about Demon Hunter, but I do encourage you to check them out. The third Christian heavy metal band that deserves to be called a Christian heavy metal band that you should check out is Phinehas. Phinehas is another one of those bands where their biblical inspiration is kind of layered underneath the poetry of their lyrics, which some people might not enjoy. I do like them. I always enjoy kind of having to search a little bit for those themes, because when you do find them, it's more rewarding. But certainly those themes, the biblical themes of the joys of having a relationship with Jesus, and again, the scandalousness of grace for us who don't deserve it, and even like social justice, like Jesus in a social justice context, those are all there. Their album Dark Flag is sort of like a concept album, essentially all about North Korea and a defector from North Korea and his journey, just kind of shedding light on the reality of life in North Korea for those people and how the gospel plays into that whole reality. Their album, The Last Word Is Yours to Speak, great album. The song off that album, The Deepest of Graves, they got a line that I just remember listening to one time. It choked me up. And that was, somewhere between bearing my shame and wearing my pain, you still find it in you to love me for who I am. Acknowledging the shame and the pain that we have and how Jesus takes that from us is such a beautiful thing. In my top 10 albums of 2021 video that I put out last year, I talked about their album that came out last year, The Fire Itself. That's a great album. And again, check out that video to hear my thoughts on it. I encourage you to check them out just to hear the positive message in their music. The fourth Christian heavy metal band that you should check out, because they do preach the gospel very boldly, this band does, is Bloodlines. Bloodlines is a relatively young band. They have one album and one EP out. But even from that small portfolio of work, you can just see very transparently that these guys are men of God. Their album Hostile Minds I found a few years ago, and I think from start to finish the album is fantastic. I think the last song of the album, Spiritual Warfare, the name speaks for itself, but that song I still listen to a ton. It's a ballad, so it's not even like a heavy song, but I think it really speaks to the sentiment of spiritual warfare. It's real, it's around us, and it's something that we do have to take up arms against every day, but Jesus has won that battle and he's alongside us as we continue to fight. So I highly encourage listening to that album. And then their EP that just came out last year, Hevel, still don't know how to pronounce it. It's another one where there's no real way to listen to it other than as something that is coming from a Christian standpoint and is meant to promote what the Bible teaches. The song Lotus off the EP, the lead singer just screams Yahweh, just screams it like gutturally, and it's kind of become a meme in the Christian metal community because it sort of encapsulates the sentiment of Christian heavy metal. It's heavy, but we're still screaming the name of Yahweh. So I encourage you to check these guys out. They're a relatively small band, certainly the smallest on this list, and so I encourage you to support them, support godly bands out there that are truly preaching God's word, and so you should check them out. The last Christian heavy metal band that you should check out is maybe an interesting pick because I don't actually listen to them a ton, but their reputation precedes them, and I have it on good authority what other people in the Christian metal community have said. These guys are super awesome and super godly, and that is Impending Doom. I think the main reason I don't listen to them as much is because based off of the music of theirs that I have listened to, they're like a black metal band, which is like a step above heavy metal. Like it's just heavier and just darker, and it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I check it out every once in a while, but I do know just from like the comments I've gotten on other videos I've done talking about Christian heavy metal, and then from communities like Kingdom Core on Instagram, I just know that these guys love Jesus and they are speaking his name through their music. The one album of theirs that I've listened to is The Sin and Doom Volume 2, and I just remember from this album, the song that I remember is The Serpent's Tongue, because in the song, the lead singer, Brooke Reeves, he says, "I am a Christian, a faithful man of God." It doesn't get much more upfront about your faith than that. And then at the end of the song, he says, "Satan hates you because you're made in the image of God's holy son." You may think Satan wants you to have fun or that Satan's out there to help you or whatever, but Satan hates you because you are made in the image of God, and he hates that. So that's just like a way of looking at that relationship that I had never really thought of previously. But you know, he's preaching that truth to a community. You know, I think stereotypically people who listen to black metal or heavy metal in general, they are cut from a certain cloth and they are stereotyped to live in a certain way. And I think a lot of people in that community do hold Satan in a higher regard than we should. And so the fact that he's preaching words boldly like that in this community, I think is awesome. And I will personally try to listen to more of their music in the future because, like I said, I want to be supporting bands that truly do love Jesus and truly do work to make his name known. So truthfully, if no other band on this list will be your cup of tea, this one probably won't be it either. But if that is a type of music that you listen to, or you're looking to find more bands in that genre to listen to, certainly check out Impending Doom and support actual Christian heavy metal. And so there you go. That is my quick and certainly unpolished opinion on 5 Christian heavy metal bands that you should support and you should listen to because they truly are doing Jesus's work in the heavy metal community. Let me know what bands I missed in the comments, and also let me know any video ideas you'd like to see me make, Christian heavy metal or otherwise. I'm always open to new ideas, so if you have any, share them with me in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, as I have more Christian content just like this video on the way. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all very much, and I will see you in the next one.